The champagne glass trembled in Maya's hand as she spotted him across the crowded ballroom. And for one breathless moment, she was 10 years old again, sitting on a tree branch with her best friend in the whole world. Samuel Richardson stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, his broad shoulders filling out an impeccably tailored navy suit. Dark hair swept back in a way that made him look like he belonged in a magazine spread rather than at her cousin's engagement party. He was laughing at something a silver-haired man was saying, his familiar smile creating those crinkles at the corners of his eyes that she remembered so vividly from their childhood. But everything else about him seemed different, polished, powerful. Not at all like the gangly kid who used to race her to the old oak tree behind their elementary school. Maya's cousin Rachel appeared at her elbow, following her gaze. "Earth to Maya, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "That's Sam Richardson," Maya breathed, unable to look away. "We were best friends when we were kids. I haven't seen him since 5th grade when his family moved away." Rachel's perfectly sculpted eyebrows shot up. "That's Samuel Richardson. The Samuel Richardson. Maya, do you have any idea who he is?" "Yeah, my childhood best friend who moved to Boston when we were 11. And apparently became one of the most successful real estate developers on the East Coast," Rachel said, her voice pitching higher. "He owns half of Manhattan from what I've heard. Daniel's family does business with his company. That's why he's here." Maya's stomach did a strange flip. Sam, her Sam, who used to help her catch fireflies in mason jars and shared his lunch with her when she forgot hers. A billionaire. "You should go talk to him," Rachel urged, giving Maya a gentle push. "I can't just walk up to him. He's probably changed. We were kids, Rachel. It was 15 years ago." But even as she said it, Sam turned, scanning the room with those same warm brown eyes she remembered. When his gaze landed on her, recognition flashed across his face so quickly and intensely that it knocked the breath from her lungs. His whole expression transformed, softening into something that looked almost vulnerable. He excused himself from his conversation and started walking toward her, cutting through the crowd with a purposeful stride that made several heads turn. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. Maya Andrews. His voice was deeper now, rich and smooth, but held that same gentle quality she remembered. "Is it really you? Hi, Sam." The words came out barely above a whisper, then he was pulling her into a hug, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something fundamentally familiar. When he released her, his hands lingered on her shoulders, his eyes searching her face. "I can't believe this. You look amazing. I mean, you're all grown up," he laughed, shaking his head. "That sounds stupid. Of course you're grown up. It's been 15 years. "You look pretty different yourself," Maya managed, acutely aware that Rachel had discreetly disappeared into the crowd. "Business suits are a far cry from the Pokémon t-shirts you used to wear." His laugh was genuine, unguarded. "God, I love those shirts. My mom finally threw them out when I was in college." His expression grew more serious, more intense. "Maya, I've thought about you so many times over the years. I tried to find you on social media, but Andrews is such a common last name, and I wasn't sure if you'd gotten married or moved or—" "Still in Philadelphia. Still Maya Andrews. Still teaching 3rd grade at an elementary school about 10 minutes from where we grew up." Something shifted in his expression when she said that, a flicker of emotion she couldn't quite read. "You became a teacher. That's perfect. You were always so patient, even when I was being an idiot. You were never an idiot. I tried to bring a frog into your house that one time." "Okay, that was pretty dumb," Meyer admitted with a laugh, feeling some of her nervousness ease. "Your mom was so mad. She made me apologize to your mom for a week straight." He grinned, then glanced around the crowded party. This is crazy running into you here. Can we go somewhere quieter? I want to actually hear you catch up properly." Maya nodded, letting him guide her through the ballroom with a hand resting lightly on the small of her back. The gesture felt protective, familiar despite the years apart. They found a quieter corner near the terrace, partially shielded from the main party by an elaborate flower arrangement. "So tell me everything," Sam said, leaning against the wall with his full attention fixed on her. 15 years is a lot to cover. "I don't know where to start," Maya admitted. "After you moved, I was pretty lost for a while. You were my best friend. My only real friend, if I'm being honest." Something in his expression tightened. "I hated leaving. I begged my parents to let me stay, but my dad got this job opportunity in Boston and they said we had to go. I know. I got your letters for the first year and then they stopped." "My dad's job fell through," Sam said quietly. "Things got really bad for a while. We lost our house, had to move into a tiny apartment. I was embarrassed. I didn't want you to know that the kid you used to hang out with was wearing hand-me-down clothes and eating cereal for dinner most nights." Maya's chest ached. "Sam, I wouldn't have cared about any of that. I know that now. Back then I was 12 and stupid and too proud." He ran a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry. I should have kept in touch. I thought about you all the time, wondered how you were doing, if you were okay." "I survived," Maya said lightly, trying to ease the tension. "Made some other friends eventually. Went to Temple University, got my teaching degree. Dated a few guys who turned out to be disasters. The usual. Anyone serious? Not really. There was this guy, Derek, about 2 years ago. I thought it might turn into something, but he got a job offer in California and didn't even consider asking me to come with him. That told me everything I needed to know." She looked up at him. "What about you? I'm guessing you've got a gorgeous girlfriend or fiancé somewhere." "No one," Sam said firmly. "There have been women I've dated, but nothing that stuck. No one who—" He trailed off, his gaze holding hers for a long moment. "My life got pretty complicated after we moved. Rachel mentioned you're in real estate." A wry smile crossed his face. "That's a polite way of putting it. I'm a developer. Started with nothing, worked construction jobs through high school and college, saved every penny. When I was 22, I bought my first property, a run-down building in a questionable neighborhood. Fixed it up myself, sold it for 3 times what I paid. Did it again and again. Eventually started buying bigger properties, building new developments. Now I've got a company with offices in 5 cities." "That's incredible, Sam. You built all of that yourself." "With a lot of help and some luck along the way." He shifted, looking almost uncomfortable. "The media likes to make a big deal out of it. Self-made billionaire and all that. It's weird, having strangers think they know your story. Billionaire." The word hung in the air between them. Maya tried to reconcile it with the boy who used to split his snack pack pudding with her. "Does it feel strange?" she asked. "Having all that money and success?" "Sometimes," he admitted. "The money itself doesn't mean much. It's just numbers in an account. What matters is what I can do with it, the projects I can take on, the buildings I can create, and—" He paused, looking at her with an expression that made her pulse quicken. "It means I can finally do something I've been planning for years." "What's that?" But before he could answer, Rachel appeared with Daniel, her fiancé, in tow. "Sorry to interrupt, but we're about to do the toast. Maya, you need to be there since you're family." Maya nodded, reluctantly pulling away from Sam. "I should go. Can I get your number?" Sam asked quickly. "I don't want to lose touch with you again." They exchanged phones, fingers brushing as they swapped devices. Maya tried not to think about how many important business contacts were probably in his phone, how many wealthy associates and powerful connections. She was just his childhood friend who taught 8-year-olds. The toast was lovely, with Daniel's father making a speech about love and partnership that made half the room tear up. Maya glanced across the crowd and found Sam watching her, his expression unreadable. When their eyes met, he raised his glass slightly, a private acknowledgement just for her. After the official festivities concluded, the party transitioned into dancing and mingling. Maya found herself pulled into conversations with various relatives, but her awareness kept tracking back to Sam. She watched him navigate the social landscape with practiced ease, shaking hands and making conversation, but noticed how he seemed to extract himself whenever possible, retreating to the periphery. "He keeps looking at you," Rachel whispered during a lull. "Like, constantly." "It's actually kind of romantic. We're just old friends. Old friends who are both single and clearly attracted to each other. Did you see the way he hugged you? That was not a just friends hug." "Rachel, stop. He's a billionaire. I'm an elementary school teacher. We live in completely different worlds now. So, money isn't everything. And from what Daniel says, Samuel Richardson is one of the most down-to-earth, wealthy guys he's ever met. Apparently, he still drives himself around instead of using a driver, and he's known for actually working on construction sites instead of just bossing people around from an office." Before Maya could respond, Sam appeared beside them. "Sorry to interrupt, but would you like to dance?" He held out his hand to Maya. Rachel practically shoved her forward. "She'd love to." Sam led her to the dance floor where other couples swayed to a slow jazz number. His hand settled on her waist, warm and sure, while his other hand engulfed hers. They fell into an easy rhythm. "Your cousin seems nice," Sam said, amusement coloring his voice. "She's not subtle, I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm glad she pushed you toward me. I was trying to figure out a way to get you alone again." He pulled her slightly closer. "This is surreal being here with you. I've imagined running into you so many times." "You have. Maya, you were the most important person in my life for years. Just because we lost touch doesn't mean I forgot about you." His thumb traced a small circle on her waist, making her shiver. "Do you remember that tree we used to climb? The huge oak behind the school, of course. We carved our initials in it. I went back there about 5 years ago. I was in Philly for a business meeting and I drove past our old neighborhood. The tree is still there. So are our initials." Something warm bloomed in Maya's chest. "You went looking for it. I went looking for anything that reminded me of you. Our old houses are still standing. The playground where we used to hang out is completely renovated now, but it's in the same spot. Everything felt smaller than I remembered, except how much I missed having you in my life." Maya's breath caught. The sincerity in his voice and his eyes was overwhelming. "Sam, too much?" he asked softly. "Sorry, I'm not always great at reading social cues. Business meetings I can handle, but this is different." "It's not too much," Maya said. "It's just a lot to process. This morning I woke up thinking about lesson plans and grocery shopping. Now I'm dancing with my childhood best friend who apparently became incredibly successful and is saying things that make my heart race." His hand tightened on her waist. "Good. I mean, not that I want to overwhelm you, but good that your heart is racing. Mine hasn't stopped since I saw you across the room." The song ended, transitioning into something more upbeat. They stood there for a moment, neither moving, until Sam seemed to make a decision. "Let's get out of here," he said. "I mean, if you want to. We could go somewhere and actually talk without 100 people around." Maya knew she should be cautious. This was Sam, yes, but also a stranger in many ways. 15 years was a long time. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw the same boy who had shared his dreams with her, who had defended her from bullies, who had made her laugh until she couldn't breathe. "Okay," she said. "Let me just tell Rachel I'm leaving." 20 minutes later, Maya found herself in the passenger seat of a sleek Mercedes, watching the city lights blur past. Sam drove with confident ease, one hand on the wheel, the other resting near the gear shift. "I thought we could go to this place I know," Sam said. "It's a coffee shop that's open late, quiet, good desserts, unless you'd prefer something else." "That sounds perfect." The coffee shop was tucked into a converted brownstone in a trendy neighborhood. When they walked in, the owner greeted Sam by name. "Mr. Richardson, good to see you." "Your usual table." "Thanks, Marcus. This is Maya, a very old friend." Marcus smiled warmly at Maya before leading them to a corner booth with comfortable leather seats and soft lighting. Sam ordered coffee and a slice of chocolate cake to share without asking Maya, then caught himself. "Sorry, I should have asked what you wanted. I just remembered you loved chocolate." "I still do. And you remembered that after 15 years. "I remember everything about you," Sam said simply. They fell into easy conversation, years of separation melting away as they swapped stories. Sam told her about building his company from the ground up, the mistakes he made, the lessons he learned. He spoke about his parents, who still lived modestly despite his success, and how his father's initial job failure had shaped his understanding of financial security. Maya shared her own journey, the challenges of teaching, the rewards of watching kids grow and learn. She told him about her small apartment, her rescued cat named Patches, her Sunday morning ritual of going to the farmer's market. "You seem happy," Sam observed, his eyes never leaving her face. "Like, genuinely content with your life." "I am, mostly. I love teaching. The pay isn't great and sometimes the bureaucracy drives me crazy, but watching a kid finally understand something they've been struggling with, that's better than any paycheck." She paused. "Do you love what you do?" "I do, but not for the reasons people think. It's not about the money or the power. It's about creating something tangible, something that lasts. When I build something, I can drive past it years later and know I made that. It's permanent in a way that feels meaningful." "That makes sense." "It's like teaching, in a way. The impact lasts long after the moment." "Exactly." Sam leaned forward. "Maya, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why didn't you ever look for me? I mean, I know I stopped writing first, but in all these years you never tried to find me." Maya considered the question, wrapping her hands around her coffee mug. "I did, actually. When I was about 16, I tried searching for you online. But like you said, common last names, and I wasn't even sure you still lived in Boston. I found a few Samuel Richardsons, but none of them were you. Eventually, I figured maybe you didn't want to be found. That maybe our friendship was just a childhood thing that meant more to me than it did to you." Pain flashed across his face. "Maya, no. You were everything to me when we were kids. You still are." "Still am. Sam, we just reconnected tonight." "I know how it sounds." He ran his hand through his hair in a gesture she remembered from childhood, something he did when he was trying to organize his thoughts. "Can I tell you something? It's going to sound crazy, but I need you to hear it." "Okay." He took a deep breath. "Every major decision I've made in the past 15 years, I've made with you in mind. When I bought my first property, I thought about how you always said you wanted to live in a house with a big garden. So I made sure it had green space. When I started developing residential buildings, I designed them with families in mind, with good schools nearby, because you cared about education. Every project, every investment, I've asked myself if it would make you proud." Maya stared at him, her heart pounding. "Sam, that's crazy." "Obsessive, I know, but it's true. And about 5 years ago, I hired a private investigator to find you." "You what?" "I needed to know you were okay, that you were happy and safe. The investigator gave me your address, told me you were teaching, gave me the basics. But he also told me you were dating someone at the time. That guy Derek you mentioned. You've known where I was for 5 years. Yes. And I've been working up the courage to reach out, trying to figure out how to come back into your life without seeming like a stalker. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Seeing you tonight was pure chance. I had no idea you'd be at this party. When I saw you, it felt like fate was finally giving me the opening I'd been waiting for. Maya didn't know what to say. Part of her was stunned, overwhelmed by the intensity of what he was revealing. But another part, the part that had never quite forgotten her best friend, felt something click into place. "Why didn't you just reach out?" she asked softly. "Why wait?" "Because I wanted to be worthy of you first. When we were kids, you were the smart one, the kind one, the one everyone liked. I was just the kid who followed you around. Then after we moved and everything fell apart, I felt even more inadequate. I needed to become someone successful, someone stable before I could face you again. Sam, I never cared about any of that, I know. But I did. And then when I finally had the success, the money, the status, I was terrified you'd think that's all I was. Just some rich guy who thought he could buy his way back into your life. So I waited, trying to figure out the right approach, and then suddenly you were there tonight and I couldn't wait anymore." Maya reached across the table and took his hand. His fingers immediately intertwined with hers, holding tight. "I don't care about your money," she said firmly. "I care about the boy who used to make me laugh, who listened to me talk about books for hours, who taught me how to throw a decent spiral even though I was terrible at sports. That's who I'm sitting with right now. Not some billionaire developer, just Sam." His eyes were bright with emotion. "Just Sam is all I want to be with you." They sat there for a long moment, hands clasped, years of separation and longing bridging in the space between them. Then Sam cleared his throat. "Can I see you again? Like an actual date, dinner tomorrow night?" Maya smiled. "I'd like that. But I should warn you, I have to get up early for work on Monday, so nothing too late. I'll pick you up at 6. We can go somewhere nice but not stuffy, and I promise to have you home at a reasonable hour like a gentleman. Deal?" Sam insisted on driving her home. When they pulled up in front of her modest apartment building, he walked her to the door despite her protests. "Thank you for tonight," Maya said, suddenly shy. "It was good seeing you again. Better than good." He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. "I'll text you tomorrow. Get some sleep." Maya floated up to her apartment, her mind whirling. Patches greeted her with an indignant meow at the late hour, but Maya just scooped up the orange tabby and spun around her living room. "I think I'm in trouble," she told the cat. "Big, complicated, wonderful trouble." The next day dragged by with painful slowness. Maya tried to focus on preparing her classroom for the upcoming week, organizing materials and reviewing lesson plans, but her mind kept drifting to Sam. Her phone buzzed with messages throughout the day. Short texts from him, little updates about his day, questions about her favorite foods, reminders of silly things from their childhood. It felt natural and easy, like they'd never been apart. When 6 o'clock finally arrived, Maya had changed her outfit 3 times and was questioning her 4th choice when the buzzer rang. She pressed the intercom button. "Come on up. 3rd floor, apartment 3B. She opened her door to find Sam climbing the stairs, looking unfairly handsome in dark jeans and a gray button-down with the sleeves rolled up. He was carrying flowers, a simple but beautiful bouquet of sunflowers. "You remembered," Maya said softly, taking the flowers. "You said they were your favorite when we were kids because they always looked happy." He stepped into her apartment, looking around with obvious interest. "This is nice. Very you." The apartment was small but cozy, decorated with colorful throw pillows, bookshelves overflowing with novels and teaching resources, and student artwork hanging on the walls. "It's not much, but it's home," Maya said, putting the flowers in water. "It's perfect." Sam picked up a framed photo from her bookshelf. "Is this your family?" "Yeah, that was taken last Christmas. My parents, my older brother Marcus and his wife and their kids." "You're an aunt. That's great. Are you close with your family?" "Pretty close. We do Sunday dinners once a month." "My mom would love to see you again, by the way. When I called her this morning to tell her I'd run into you, she practically screamed. You were always her favorite of my friends." Sam grinned. "She made the best cookies, those peanut butter ones with the chocolate chips. She still makes them. I'll have her bake some for you." They headed out to dinner at a restaurant that Sam described as casual elegant. He'd been right. The atmosphere was relaxed but refined, with excellent food and attentive service. Over pasta and wine, they continued building bridges across the years of separation. "Tell me about your students," Sam said. "What are they like?" Maya lit up, sharing stories about her current class. The shy girl who was slowly coming out of her shell, the energetic boy who couldn't sit still but had a brilliant mind for math, the kid who brought in interesting rocks and insisted on giving geology lessons to anyone who would listen. "You love them," Sam observed. "You get this glow when you talk about them. They're amazing, frustrating sometimes, but amazing. Every single one of them has so much potential." "Do you ever think about having kids of your own?" The question caught Meyer off guard. "I do, actually. I always thought I'd have a family by now, but life doesn't always go according to plan." "What about you?" "I want kids," Sam said without hesitation. "I've wanted them for a long time, but I never wanted to have them with just anyone. I wanted to wait until I found the right person." His gaze held hers meaningfully. Maya's pulse quickened. They were moving fast, too fast maybe, but it didn't feel wrong. It felt like they were simply picking up where they'd left off, older and wiser, but fundamentally the same people who had once been inseparable. After dinner, Sam suggested a walk. They strolled through the city streets, the late spring air warm and pleasant. Sam took her hand at some point, the gesture feeling natural and right. "I have something I need to tell you," Sam said as they walked. "About why I built my company the way I did." "Okay. Remember when we were kids, how your parents were always struggling with money? Your dad had gotten laid off and your mom was working 2 jobs. Yeah, it was a rough time. That was right before you moved away. I remember how scared you were. You told me once that you heard your parents talking about maybe losing your house. You cried, and I felt so helpless because I couldn't do anything to fix it." Maya stopped walking, turning to face him. "Sam, where is this going?" "I built my entire career with the goal of making enough money so that I could come back and help your family, so that you'd never have to worry about losing your home or struggling to get by. Every deal I closed, every property I developed, I was thinking about you." "Sam, that's—" Maya struggled for words. "My parents are fine now. They figured it out. Dad got a new job. Mom eventually went back to working 1 job. We weren't wealthy, but we were stable. I know. I kept tabs on your family too. But by the time I realized you were all okay, I was already deep into building something bigger. And I realized I could help more people, create affordable housing, develop communities with good infrastructure and opportunities. I could make a real difference." "So you became a billionaire for me," Maya said slowly, the pieces clicking together. "That's what you meant last night. Everything I've done has been for you, Maya, to be worthy of you, to have something to offer you, to build a life that you'd want to be part of." He cupped her face in his hands. "I know it sounds insane. I know we just reconnected, but I've been in love with you since I was 10 years old, and that feeling never went away. It only got stronger." Maya's eyes filled with tears. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's the truth. I love you. I've always loved you, and if you need time, if you need to take this slow, I'll wait. I've already waited 15 years. I can wait as long as you need. Sam. She stood on her tiptoes, bringing her face closer to his. You're not the only one who's been carrying a torch all these years. I tried to move on, tried to date other people, but no one ever measured up. They weren't you. His breath caught. Maya. I love you too. I think I always have. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of years of longing. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, and Maya melted into him. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Sam rested his forehead against hers. I need to do this right, he said. Take you on proper dates, let you get to know who I am now, let me learn who you've become. But I need you to know that I'm serious about this, about you, about us. I'm serious too, Maya whispered. They continued walking, talking about everything and nothing. Sam told her about his apartment in the city, his house in the Hamptons that he rarely used, his plans for a new development project. Maya shared more about her life, her goals of maybe becoming a principal someday, her dream of writing children's books. As the night grew later, Sam walked her back to her apartment. At her door, he kissed her again, slower this time, deeper. When can I see you again? He asked. I have school all week, but I'm free Tuesday evening. Tuesday feels like forever away. Maya laughed. It's only 2 days. How about lunch on Monday? I could meet you near your school. Sam, don't you have work? I'm the boss. I can take a long lunch. He kissed her forehead. I don't want to wait until Tuesday to see you. Okay. Monday lunch. Over the next few weeks, they fell into a pattern. Sam would meet Maya for lunch when her schedule allowed. They'd have dinner together several times a week, and they spent most of their free time together. He came to her apartment and they'd cook together, watch movies, talk for hours. She visited his penthouse apartment and tried not to be overwhelmed by the luxury, focusing instead on the little things that made it his, like the worn paperback books on his nightstand and the framed photo of his parents on his desk. Maya met some of Sam's business associates at a charity gala he invited her to. She felt out of place in the borrowed designer dress Rachel had insisted she wear, but Sam never left her side, his hand resting possessively on her waist as he introduced her to everyone as Maya, the most important person in my life. You didn't have to say that, Maya whispered during a break in the introductions. Why not? It's true. He kissed her temple. These people need to know you're not just my date, you're my future. His parents came to visit a month into their renewed relationship. Maya had been terrified, worried they wouldn't remember her or would think she wasn't good enough for their successful son. But the moment Mrs. Richardson saw her, she burst into tears and pulled Maya into a fierce hug. I prayed we'd find you again, she said, holding Maya's face in her hands. Sam never forgot you, not for a single day. Mr. Richardson shook her hand warmly. Our boy did good building his company, but his real achievement would be winning your heart. That's what he always wanted. They had dinner at Sam's apartment and it felt like old times. His parents told embarrassing stories from his teenage years, and Sam retaliated with tales from Maya's childhood that made everyone laugh. It was comfortable and warm and right. Later, after his parents had gone back to their hotel, Sam and Maya sat on his balcony overlooking the city. They love you, Sam said, pulling her close. I love them too. They were always so kind to me when we were kids. They think we should get married, Sam said casually. Maya nearly choked on her wine. What? My mom pulled me aside while you and my dad were doing dishes. She said, and I quote, that girl is the one. Don't let her get away again. Sam, we've only been officially together for a month, I know, but I've loved you for 15 years. The timeline is irrelevant to me. He turned to face her fully. I'm not proposing right now, I know it's too soon. But I want you to know my intentions. I want to marry you, Maya. I want to build a life with you, have kids with you, grow old with you. Everything I've built, everything I have, means nothing if you're not in my life. Maya's heart swelled. You make it hard to take things slow when you say stuff like that. You want to take it slow, she thought about it, really considered the question. They had history, deep roots that went back to childhood. They'd spent weeks together, falling back into sync like they'd never been apart. She knew his heart, his character, his dreams, and he knew hers. No, she said finally. I don't want to take it slow. Life's too short and we've already lost too much time. Sam's smile was brilliant. He kissed her deeply, then stood, pulling her to her feet. Come with me. I want to show you something. He led her inside to his home office, unlocking a drawer in his desk. He pulled out a folder filled with papers and photos. I've been working on something, he said, spreading the documents across his desk. A new project. I wanted to wait until it was finalized before showing you, but I think now is the right time. Maya looked at the architectural plans and photos. It took her a moment to recognize the location. Is this our old neighborhood? Yes. I've been buying up properties there for the past 2 years. The elementary school we went to is closing down because the building is falling apart and the district can't afford to fix it. I'm buying the property and renovating it. I'm going to create a state-of-the-art school with the best resources, technology, and facilities, free for the community. And I want you to help me design it. You're the teacher, you know what kids need. Maya stared at the plans, tears streaming down her face. Sam, this is incredible. This must cost millions. Closer to 20 million when all is said and done, but it's worth it. That neighborhood shaped us. I want to give back, make sure other kids have the opportunities we had and better ones. You're doing this for the community. I'm doing it for us. For the kids we were, for the kids you teach now, for the kids we'll have someday. He wiped her tears gently. Say you'll help me. Work with me on this project. Make it something special. Of course. Yes. Absolutely yes. They spent the rest of the night poring over the plans, Maya offering suggestions and insights from her teaching experience. Sam took notes, asked questions, listened intently to everything she said. Watching him work, seeing how seriously he took her input, Maya fell even more deeply in love with him. As summer arrived, their relationship continued to deepen. Sam took her to the Hamptons for a weekend, and they spent lazy days on the beach and long nights talking under the stars. He introduced her to sailing, something he'd picked up in his 20s, and laughed when she proved to be a natural. You're better at this than I am, he said, watching her expertly adjust the sails. I'm competitive. You should remember that about me. Oh, I remember. You never let me win at anything when we were kids. Because you didn't need me to let you win. You were actually good at things. They raced back to shore, Maya winning by a narrow margin. Sam pulled her into the water, both of them laughing and splashing like kids. When they finally calmed down, treading water as the sun set, Sam pulled her close. Marry me, he said. Maya's heart stopped. What? Marry me, Maya? I know we said we'd wait, but I can't. I don't want to spend another day without knowing you're going to be mine forever. He smiled. I don't have a ring on me right now, which is not how I planned this, but I can't hold it in anymore. I love you. I want you to be my wife. You're crazy, Maya said, but she was smiling through happy tears. Crazy about you. Say yes. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes, of course yes. He kissed her there in the water, the ocean swirling around them, the sky painted in shades of orange and pink. When they finally made it back to shore, Sam pulled out his phone. I need to call the jeweler. I had a ring designed for you, but it won't be ready until next week. I couldn't wait that long to ask. You already had a ring made 3 weeks ago. I've been carrying around the receipt, trying to figure out the perfect time and place to propose. Turns out the perfect moment was right now, completely unplanned in the middle of the ocean." Maya laughed, deliriously happy. "Tell me about the ring." "It's a sapphire. I remembered you said once that you thought diamonds were boring and you loved blue. So I found this incredible sapphire, deep blue like your eyes, surrounded by smaller diamonds. It's in a platinum setting, elegant but not too flashy." He pulled her close. "The jeweler thinks I'm insane for spending so much on an engagement ring, but nothing is too good for you. Sam, you don't have to spend a fortune on a ring." "I want to. Let me spoil you, Maya. I've spent 15 years building wealth so I could give you everything you deserve." They called their families from the beach house. Maya's mother cried happy tears. Her father demanded to speak to Sam to ensure his intentions were honorable, and her brother Marcus gave his enthusiastic approval. Sam's parents were thrilled but not surprised. "We knew he'd marry you the moment you two reconnected," Mrs. Richardson said over speakerphone. "Our son has been in love with you since he was a child. We're so happy you found your way back to each other." The next week, Sam presented Maya with the ring, and it was even more beautiful than he'd described. The sapphire caught the light, throwing blue sparkles across the room. Maya cried when he slipped it on her finger, and they spent the evening planning their future. "I want to keep teaching," Maya said as they cuddled on his couch. "Even after we're married, teaching is important to me." "I wouldn't dream of asking you to give it up," Sam assured her. "Your passion for education is one of the things I love most about you. Besides, I need you to oversee the school project. You're going to be too busy shaping the next generation to retire." They decided on a fall wedding, small and intimate, just family and close friends. Rachel was ecstatic to be maid of honor, and Sam asked his college roommate to be his best man. The planning was surprisingly easy since neither of them wanted anything elaborate or showy. "I just want to marry you," Sam said when Maya asked about his preferences. "Everything else is just details." The school renovation project became their shared passion. Maya spent her summer vacation working with Sam's team of architects and designers, making sure the new facility would have everything a great school needed. They created bright, spacious classrooms with plenty of natural light, a library that made Maya weep with joy, a state-of-the-art science lab, an art studio, and a gymnasium that could actually accommodate basketball games. "We should add a garden," Maya suggested during one planning meeting, "where kids can learn about plants and nature, and maybe some outdoor classroom spaces." Sam immediately instructed the architects to incorporate both ideas. Watching him work, seeing how he valued her input and made her dreams reality, Maya fell in love with him all over again. In August, they broke ground on the school project. The local news covered it, interviewing Sam about his investment in the community. When asked why he chose this particular neighborhood, Sam looked directly at the camera. "Because this is where I learned what friendship and loyalty meant. This is where I met the most important person in my life. I want to give back to the place that gave me so much." Maya watched the interview from the crowd, her heart full. After the cameras stopped rolling, Sam found her and pulled her close. "Ready to see our old tree?" he asked. They walked to the location behind what would soon be the new school. The old oak tree still stood, massive and majestic. Sam led her to the spot where they'd carved their initials 15 years ago. The markings were faded but still visible. SR plus MA. "I have a confession," Sam said. "I added something to this a few years ago." Below their initials, Maya noticed fresh carving. "Forever." "Sam," she breathed. "I added it the day I decided to buy these properties. I made a promise to that tree, to our younger selves, that I would find a way back to you. That we'd be together forever." Maya traced the letters with her fingers. We should make sure this tree stays protected when you build the school. Already in the plans, it'll be the centerpiece of the courtyard. Kids will play around it, make their own memories, just like we did. Their wedding in October was everything Maya had dreamed of. They held it at a beautiful estate outside the city, with fall leaves creating a stunning backdrop. Maya wore a simple but elegant dress that made Sam's breath catch when he saw her walking down the aisle. His vows made everyone cry. "Maya Andrews, you've been the most important person in my life since I was 10 years old. You were my best friend, my confidant, my inspiration. Losing you was the hardest thing I ever experienced, and finding you again was the greatest gift I could have received. I promise to love you, support you, encourage you, and stand by you for the rest of my life. Everything I have, everything I am is yours." Maya's voice shook as she delivered her own vows. "Sam Richardson, you were the boy who made my childhood magical. You were patient when I was stubborn, kind when I was hurting, and loyal when I needed a friend. The years apart didn't diminish what we had. If anything, they proved that what we have is real and lasting. I promise to be your partner, your best friend, and your love for all the days of my life. You built an empire, but the greatest thing you ever built was the foundation of our love." When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Sam kissed her deeply, dipping her dramatically, making their guests cheer and applaud. The reception was filled with laughter, dancing, and joy. Maya's students had made cards for her, which she read with tears in her eyes. Sam's business associates gave speeches about his integrity and character. But the best moment came when Sam's mother and Maya's mother stood up together. "These two were meant to be," Mrs. Richardson said. "Even when they were children, we could see it. The way they looked at each other, the way they cared for each other. We're not losing a daughter or gaining a son," Maya's mother added. "We're finally making official what's been true for 15 years. They're family. They've always been family." Sam and Maya's first dance was to a song that had played on the radio constantly the summer before Sam moved away. They swayed together, oblivious to everyone watching, lost in each other. "Mrs. Richardson," Sam murmured against her hair. "I like the sound of that. Me too. Though my students are going to be confused on Monday. Take your time telling them. Enjoy the honeymoon first." They spent 2 weeks in Italy for their honeymoon, exploring ancient cities, eating incredible food, and reveling in being newlyweds. Sam had rented a villa in Tuscany for the second week, private and secluded, with rolling hills and vineyards stretching as far as they could see. "I could get used to this," Maya said, lounging by the pool with a book. "We can come back whenever you want. This is our place now. Our place." Sam grinned. "I may have bought the villa. Surprise. Sam, you can't just buy a villa in Italy without telling me." "I just did. Consider it a wedding present. Now we have a place to escape to whenever life gets too hectic." Maya shook her head, but she was smiling. "You're ridiculous. You love it. I love you." They returned home to their new life together. Sam had insisted Maya choose their home, and she'd fallen in love with a beautiful townhouse in a family-friendly neighborhood, close to her school but with enough space for the future they planned. They spent their first few months of marriage settling in, making the house their own, blending their lives together. The school project was completed the following spring, opening just in time for the new academic year. The grand opening was a massive community event, with families touring the facilities, kids playing in the courtyard around the protected oak tree, and local officials praising Sam's investment in the neighborhood. Maya had left her previous school to become the principal of the new Richardson Academy for Learning. It was her dream job, working in a facility designed with her input, serving the community where she'd grown up. "How does it feel?" Sam asked as they stood in her new office after the crowds had left. Surreal. Amazing. Perfect. She turned to him. Thank you for making this possible. We made it possible together. This is as much yours as it is mine. That night over dinner at home, Maya had news of her own. I have something to tell you. Sam looked up, immediately attentive. What is it? We're going to have a baby. I'm pregnant. For a moment, Sam just stared at her. Then he was up and around the table, pulling her into his arms, laughing and crying at the same time. Are you serious? We're having a baby, due in January. I found out yesterday but wanted to wait until after the school opening to tell you. Maya, this is incredible. We're going to be parents. He knelt down, placing his hands gently on her still flat stomach. Hey there, little one, I'm your dad. I can't wait to meet you. Maya ran her fingers through his hair, overwhelmed with emotion. You're going to be an amazing father. I learned from the best. You've been teaching me about kids for months now. The pregnancy progressed smoothly. Sam was attentive to the point of being overprotective, constantly making sure Maya was comfortable, well-fed, and resting enough. He went to every doctor's appointment, asked a million questions, and read every parenting book he could find. When they found out they were having a boy, Sam cried happy tears. A son. We're having a son. They spent months preparing the nursery, painting it a soft blue-gray and filling it with books and toys. Sam built a custom bookshelf, determined to do at least something himself rather than just buying everything. I want him to know I can make things with my hands, Sam explained as he worked. That's important. In January, on a snowy Saturday morning, Maya went into labor. Sam was a nervous wreck, timing contractions obsessively, calling the doctor every 5 minutes and generally being more anxious than Maya. Sam, breathe, Maya said during a contraction. You're making the nurses nervous. Sorry, I just want everything to be perfect. It will be. We're having our baby. That's already perfect. Samuel Marcus Richardson, Jr. was born at 3:47 in the afternoon, weighing 7 pounds and 6 ounces. He had his father's dark hair and his mother's blue eyes, and he was absolutely perfect. Sam held his son for the first time with tears streaming down his face. Hello, Marcus. I'm your dad. I've been waiting my whole life to meet you. Maya watched her husband cradle their baby, her heart so full she thought it might burst. He's beautiful. He's perfect. Just like his mother. Sam looked at her with such love and gratitude that Maya started crying too. Thank you for this, for him, for everything. Their families descended on the hospital, everyone wanting to meet the newest Richardson. Sam's mother cried when she held her grandson. Maya's parents beamed with pride. Rachel declared herself the favorite aunt and promised to spoil Marcus rotten. The first few months of parenthood were exhausting and wonderful. Sam proved to be a hands-on father, getting up for night feedings, changing diapers without complaint, and spending every spare moment with his son. He adjusted his work schedule to be home more, delegating responsibilities so he could be present for these precious early months. I built an empire, he told Maya one night as they watched Marcus sleep. But this right here, being a husband and father, this is my real legacy. As Marcus grew, Sam made sure to involve his son in everything. He'd bring the baby to construction sites, showing him buildings in progress. Someday, you and your siblings might want to join the family business, but whatever you choose to do, I'll support you. Siblings? Maya asked, amused. Well, I was thinking 3 or 4 kids total. What do you think? Maya laughed. Let's get through the first year before we plan the whole family. But she wasn't opposed to the idea. Their life together was everything she'd ever wanted and more. She had her dream job, a husband who adored her, a beautiful son, and a future full of possibilities. 2 years later, they welcomed their daughter, Sophie Grace Richardson, who had Sam's smile and Maya's stubborn determination. Sam was just as devoted to his daughter, declaring her the most beautiful baby ever born and spending hours playing Princess Tea Party with her as she grew. "You're wrapped around her little finger," Maya teased. "Absolutely. And I'm not ashamed of it." The Richardson Academy for Learning thrived under Maya's leadership. The school became known for its innovative programs, dedicated teachers, and impressive student outcomes. Sam continued to support the school financially, creating scholarship funds and enrichment programs. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Sam surprised Maya with a renewal of their vows under the old oak tree in the school courtyard. Their children played nearby while family and friends gathered around. "5 years ago, I married my best friend," Sam said, holding Maya's hands. "Every day since then has been better than the last. You've given me a beautiful family, a true home, and more happiness than I ever thought possible. Here's to 50 more years together." 50 years minimum, Maya corrected with a smile. "You're stuck with me forever, Sam Richardson. There's nowhere else I'd rather be." They kissed under the tree where they'd first carved their initials 20 years earlier, surrounded by the community they'd built together, the family they'd created, and the love that had endured across years and distance. A decade after their reunion, Maya stood in the backyard of their townhouse, watching Sam play with their 4 children. Marcus was 10 now, teaching his younger siblings how to throw a football. Sophie was 8, bossy and brilliant. The twins, Jack and Lily, were 5, full of energy and mischief. "Dad, watch this," Marcus called, throwing a perfect spiral. "That's my boy." Sam caught the ball easily, then looked over at Maya. Their eyes met across the yard, and he smiled that same smile she'd fallen in love with when they were children. He walked over, leaving the kids to play, and wrapped his arms around her from behind. "What are you thinking about?" "About that night at Rachel's engagement party, when I saw you across the room and my whole life changed." "Mine too. Best night of my life, besides our wedding and the births of our kids." "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't run into each other that night?" "I would have found you eventually," Sam said with certainty. "I never would have stopped looking. We were always meant to find our way back to each other." Maya turned in his arms, looking up at the man who had built an empire just to be worthy of her love. "I love you, Sam Richardson. I loved you when we were kids, I loved you when we were apart, and I love you more every single day." "I love you too, Maya. Everything I am, everything I have, it's all for you. It always has been." Their children called for them to join the game, and they ran over hand in hand, ready to play, to laugh, to live the beautiful life they'd built together. A life that had started with 2 kids and a tree, a friendship that had endured through years of separation, and a love that had been worth waiting for. As the sun set over their home, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Sam pulled Maya close one more time. "Thank you for coming back to me." "Thank you for never giving up on us," Maya replied. And there, surrounded by the sound of their children's laughter in the home they'd made together, Sam and Maya lived out the happily ever after they'd both always dreamed of. The boy who had become a billionaire for the girl who had always been his entire world, and the girl who had loved him all along, finally together forever, just like the promise carved into a tree long ago. Their story was proof that some friendships transcend time and distance, that true love finds a way, and that the best foundations are built on trust, patience, and a connection that begins in childhood and lasts a lifetime. They had found their way home to each other, and in doing so had created a home filled with love, laughter, and the kind of happiness that only comes when 2 people are exactly where they belong, together.